Denver, the Carpet One Summer Convention. I'm with Terry Wheat from RFMS, exhibitor here. Terry, how you doing?
We're doing great.
You got a smile on your face. You got to be pretty happy.
Yeah, we're busy. We are.
Now, you got some new and hot things that you've been talking to the players here about. Tell us about this.
Well, we're trying to bring in more and more applications that work with the internet. People want mobility. So we've got an application that we built that gives the ability to use a smartphone or any kind of mobile device, work the showroom, wait on a customer, gather their information, gather information about product, look up inventory, basically build a complete estimate while you're on the showroom floor using a smart device. In addition to that, we're also showing a new product that we have that integrates with our Measure Mobile product, which we've had for some time, where you have the ability to go out and using a smart device, draw off an area, and it will calculate the layout of the carpet, the square footage of tile, and the layout, however you want to lay it, diagonal or whatever the case may be. But now we've integrated that with a mobile application that will actually build the order, allow you to capture a signature, take a payment, and then submit that back as an order into our system. So it really does give the salesperson, the sales associate, a tool where they can do in-home closing. And we all know that's what it's all about. Now with all of the competition that's out there, we're seeing the big boxes getting more and more sophisticated in how they're doing their measures and how they're doing their in-home visits. We see, of course, Empire and those kinds of people and how they're pushing the in-home close. And we all know that if we can get the customer to, if we have the tools where we can get them to commit, and I'm not talking about writing it on a piece of paper, I'm talking about engaging them, being able to give them visuals, show them how to do it while they're in the home, our close ratios go up dramatically. And of course, you know, if you capture that and it's still standalone and not really tied back into what you're doing at your store, you haven't accomplished a great deal. So we've tried to bring in more and more mobile applications to give our clients the ability to work remote back into their main RFMS business software.
I know Empire today puts a lot of pressure to close on that first call. Do they use any of this type of technology?
Yeah, they do. They have some technology that they use. In fact, some of their people use our Measure product, but they do most of their stuff on paper. But they are using some technology. But I think the key to the entrepreneurial retailer is they've got to improve their quality of customer service. The customer is looking for information. So while you're there at their store, if they're looking for something and they say, well, do you have this in stock? And you have to say, well, I know we stock this, but do you have enough? Well, to be able to right then and there on a smart device, look up and see if you have that inventory in stock. It's huge. The customer now has an answer. Yes, I've got it. In fact, it becomes a closing tool. Yes, we've got 732 feet of this. You need 640. Should I go ahead and reserve that for you? You know, if you give me the order today, then we can make sure that's there and we won't have to order it. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of reasons for having this kind of intellectual knowledge while you're in the customer's home. And so the best way to do that is to create these mobile applications that tie back.
That's a story that really ought to get some attention here. I mean, you have to improve your close ratios if you have these closing tools.
That's exactly right. And frankly, we feel that by using these kinds of closing tools, you take the customer out of the market, and really you should be able to maintain your margins better, because we all know that business is coming back a little bit, and that's encouraging. The statistics that we saw this last week in the Floor Covering Weekly indicates that, you know, we're up a couple of $1 billion from where we were 3 years ago, or $3 billion, and that's encouraging. But the one thing we have noticed with the increase in business is margins are not coming back. Unfortunately, the big boxes and some of the other players have helped drive down costs, particularly on our prices, particularly on hard surface. And so anything you can do, any tool you can do that really romances the customer to get them to make a decision where price doesn't become so important. They're more involved with the experience and the service and what kind of thing you as an entrepreneur can do for them. And I think if we concentrate on that, we might be able to see our points come up a little bit too, and then certainly be able to compete with those guys that are moving in this direction. It's going there. Unfortunately, we still got too many of us that have this white hair on our heads, and technology is a little difficult for us. But it's nice to see a younger group coming on board, and they're certainly adopting it, so we're doing everything we can to try to make it available.
I imagine a certain type, a certain age of customer really would expect you to have a tablet in your hand or be able to communicate with you on an iPhone.
There's no question about it. I mean, you look at today, if you go in some of the major retail stores, you go into a Restoration Hardware, and every one of them have an iPad. They can look up inventory. They can do that now. You know, you go into Restoration Hardware, the prices are going to be a little bit more than if you go into some of the lower end types of stores like that, into a Gap or somewhere like that. There's a reason they're able to command those higher prices, because they're giving a different level of service and they're attracting a customer that price isn't number one on their list. And I think if you entertain and romance the customer that way and really emphasize service, some of the surveys that we've read show that price becomes number 7 in order of priority. Their customer really, particularly the woman, the female customer, really wants to be romanced.
I don't expect anybody walks into a retail store and says, show me the cheapest thing you got in the store.
No, well, they may say that, but they don't mean it. I mean, you know, they're in with a budget in mind, and you can certainly show them the lower, inexpensive stuff, but I'll guarantee you if you give that customer the right kind of attention, you'll be able to upgrade them, and they won't buy the least expensive because they realize the least expensive or the cheapest is the worst buy.
One of the things that seems to be a hot property in the industry is really connecting lead producing options out there with the internet, with an RFMS system that the retailer is operating on. Is that a hot property?
Yeah, it is, and I think the key there is having a system in place that when you get the lead. Now, we've done some work for C1, or the whole CCA group, where their lead management system that they have on the internet does integrate back with our software. So we get a notification in the store that we have a lead, and it goes out and looks at our data to see if that individual has ever done business with us, and we're able to look and see if it truly is a new lead or is it a duplicate or whatever the case may be, so we know how to address it. But that data comes into our system and it becomes data. You know, this business of putting things on paper and having paper float around, that's information. And it's hard to retrieve information. But when it becomes data, then we have ways of managing data. Information's real hard to manage. And for years, we've done it with information, a lot of paper floating around. And when the paper gets missing, when an employee leaves and takes it with us, we have no data. And we've lost our information. So that's what we've been emphasizing. And so, yes, and it doesn't matter how the lead gets to you. The key is to get it into data and have a business process that enables you to track that data so that you know what happened with the data.
And with the difficulty in just getting people into the store anymore, this certainly is a great option, and the time is terrific to take advantage of it.
Absolutely, and you know, what's it costing? So that's what we're trying to do for our dealer base, and we have a special relationship with CCA, and so we work with them to try to build some specific products that are unique to them. But for the whole industry, our goal is to give products that give you the ability to make your data valuable. Information becomes valueless, and your data can become valueless unless you have the processes and tools to help you use the data properly.
How about just the education? I've been told that a lot of retailers don't even read their email, let alone follow up on a lead. I suspect that's an uphill battle in some areas.
I'm sure it is. It's an uphill battle. It's not as big of an uphill battle today as it was. I think the economy taught us a lot of things, the downturn in the economy. So I think entrepreneur retailers are more concerned about that than they used to be. I'm sure there are those out there that aren't. And, you know, they're never going to be real players in the marketplace. Will they always be there? Yeah, in certain markets they will. But it's those dealers that really take this kind of an initiative and use the tools to really romance the customer that are going to be the more successful. And instead of owning a job, you can truly own a business if you get to that point. Yeah, leads are expensive to generate. I mean, everybody that walks in someone's store, it's probably cost you $40, $50, $60 to get them in. So, you know, if you find a $50 bill laying on the floor, you're going to do something with it that is going to bring you either fun or joy or you're going to invest it. And so that's the way you got to look at leads.
I get the impression from talking to some of these retailers that you really have some believers in here, a lot more over the years than you used to.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we had education sessions yesterday, and we had about 130 people there, and it was really fun to see. I can think of one dealer that, my goodness, 15 years ago, he's been on our system for a long time, but I mean, he struggled to turn it on, and it was so fun yesterday, and he's one of us gray-haired guys. It was so fun. He had his daughter there, but it was so fun to see him with his iPad connected back to his store running the software. And we showed him a couple of reports that he could run, and he ran them sitting there in the room from his store. I mean, this guy is using the technology, and it's just fun to see that happen.
Took him a while, but he got religion.
He did, and it's just fun to see that, you know.
Terry, it's always great talking with you.
Same here, Dave.
You're doing some really exciting things.
Yeah, we're enjoying it. Thank you.
We've been talking with Terry Wheat. Terry heads RFMS. He's also a Carpet One retailer, I should add. And this is Talk Floor TV.